So welcome to the ANN podcast.
Thank you.
I hear that you've been involved in the aviation sector for a very long period of time. When did your journey really begin?
My journey began in 1980, where I was selected. Not only we were about 24 of us. We were selected for pilot training on a SIDA grant. At that time, it was Royal Nepal Airlines. So we were sent to Canada in Vancouver. There were 24 of us pilots and some 12 or around that number of technical people, engineer for training. It was given as a grant from SIDA, Canadian government. And we spent about a year in Vancouver. That's where we were trained in Skyways. And from there, then we came back and we got, because it was a scholarship from Royal Nepal Airlines, we got our job immediately in flying twin otter.
Tunis.
Yeah. So that's how I started my aviation career. And I've been flying. Twin otter, as you know, flies to stall fields, short takeoff landing airfields in the hilly regions of Nepal. And I've flown to all the airfields in Nepal. And I've been flying stall fields throughout my career, which lasted for 42 years. Right now, I'm just retired last November because of my age, 65 years. That is our regulations.
Okay, now talking about the age and the regulations that are set on the pilot, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday was the day when the report of one of the crashes that took place in Johnson about a year ago was released. And it was recorded, and it was recommended, not recorded, that the age of the pilots who fly in stall operations be reduced to 60. Do you think that is a fair assessment that our government has given, or do you think there's a bit of exaggeration on that part?
I do not believe in that report, at least that part of the report, because they don't have any evidence that the accident occurred due to the age factor. It occurred due to various other decision-making issues. Why the age factor? Well, what's the proof that it was because of the age factor that the decision was wrong? I don't think there is any proof of that. So that report itself should not. That aspect should not be recommended. That is my personal assessment, and if that is the thing, then there has been aircrafts that crashed by younger pilot. So should we start reducing to 40, 30 wattage? So we have not established the fact that it was age-related accident.
Yes, I mean, whenever we're talking about the aviation, we tend to look up to the United States. And FAA has this mandate that the maximum age that a commercial pilot should have is about 65 years. So in a way, when we're saying that a pilot can't fly when he's above the age of 60, we're questioning the United States of America and all of the experts there as well.
It's not only US, it is 65 age is recommended by ICAO, which is a governing body. It's not a ruling, it makes rules. Whether we follow it or not is up to each individual country. ICAO has recommended, previously it was 60, then it was recommended 65. But there are other states like Japan, I think Brazil, and New Zealand. There are other states. For domestic flights, the age is taken up to 70 years, 67 years, 68 years, or some countries don't even have age limit, as long as you are medically fit. So I would recommend that we should do the same thing in Nepal. Medically fit, that is the key word. Not your age. You may be 50 and you may be medically unfit. So that's the end of your career. So if one is medically fit, what has age got to do with that? And I think we should also evolve into that way of thinking.
The other interesting aspect of the report was that in Nepal we've got a great amount of gradient in the cabin, in that the captain doesn't really take the advice of the first officer. Have you ever encountered things like these, or is this again an exaggeration like that of the age limit?
That gradient is there, and mostly when we talk about the stall, especially stall airfields, stall aircrafts like Twin Otter, Dornier, they are recommended for single man crew. In our country, we are flying as dual pilots. Okay, and which is a good thing we are doing, because we are training the co-pilots to becoming the captains also.
And in addition to that, we also have a check and balance.
Yes, check and balance. And whether we, as a captain, I listen or not listen to the co-pilot is my attitude more than regulations or something. Like in CRM, crew resource management, we talk about saying that we should, as a leader, we should listen to what others are saying, then analyze and make a decision. Now, if I am not doing that, maybe I am not practicing CRM well. I am a poor CRM practitioner. So I should be trained for more on that. Just because the gradient is high, I would also say, I've been asking civil aviation also, if this is the gradient is high. So when a first officer is trained, initially trained, it's trained by a co-pilot, captain, instructor pilot, and then when he gets the license initially to fly with that aircraft, then he flies with instructors. Instructors are normally at a higher experience level, so that gradient is there. So now, do we stop flying that? And without flying with instructors, they cannot be clear with line captains. Yes, as far as possible, yes. But especially in our, what we have to understand is tall aircrafts. The airlines we are operating with 2, 3, 4 aircraft, 5 aircrafts. We do not have that big pilot group that we can start monitoring and rostering them with experienced captain and non-experienced captain. Once you become a captain, the decision is yours. And to listen or not to listen, just because we are at the same age, I will listen, and if we are not at the same age, I will not listen. That is, I think, the attitude of the captain. It's the captain who makes the decision. So, as a captain, I've been taught, I've been told, listen to others, not only the co-pilot, cabin crew, or the staff, any other staff. We are supposed to listen to them, your dispatcher, and make a informed decision. If I am not doing that, the airline should intervene and say, okay, why is this captain not following the process or the procedures? And that's how we should try to correct this, instead of saying, no, you cannot fly, you should not fly. In this crash also, if the captain did not listen, maybe he did not, he may have had his reasons not listening to it. Okay, and that reason may be right or wrong, and sometimes it is wrong. He should listen, but should he listen every time? That also not. That's not possible, just because the experienced captain, he should be knowing more than the first officer. The first officer is only trying to, if he says, no, we are doing wrong, then I should only think, in my thinking process or decision making process, did I make something wrong? Did I not notice something which was there? And the first officer points it out to me, then I change my decision. If the first officer points out or does not point out anything, why would I change my decision? So it's not always correct to say that if a junior tells you you should act, you may not act according to what your first officer says, but you should have reasons not to act according. So it's not a simple thing, kid. Senior and junior, we should not fly. I think we should fly, because they will learn more from a, hopefully they will learn from a, see more from a senior than a junior captain.
That's very wonderfully put. You said that you started in 1980, and you just retired a year or so ago.
Yeah.
How much has the aviation sector in Nepal changed that wide time span that you're involved?
Yeah, it has changed a lot for the betterment. When I first started, and even when I was flying as a captain and instructor, the rules were there very loosely fit, and we could bend the rules according to our likes and dislikes. Okay, and civil aviation was not really monitoring the airlines as well as they should have been. But in that time, we actually had less incidents, accidents. Royal Nepal, when we were flying Royal Nepal, we had very less accidents. One of the reason was the pilots were not pressurized to do anything they did not want to.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason for that was there is no competition. So once the skies were open in 1991-92, once the skies were open, now different players came in. And when they opened, I opted to go for private airline. I started with Everest Air. From 305 I went to Dawn Air. So in that period, now what happened was there were other players, so there was pressure, like in any job. Like if I do not fly to that destination, there's someone else who's ready to fly. So now that competition was there, but unhealthy competition grew, and there was not really much legislations to control that. So accidents peaked, especially in domestic. And now civil aviation has made very good rules and procedures, especially for the operation. For engineering, there was previously it was more or less set. But in our, though the rules were set, it was loosely set and not much monitoring, so we could get away with a lot of things. Not anymore.
But despite getting away with a lot of things, there were a lot.
Because of the, we could get a lot of, we could get away. That's why we had a lot of accidents in between. Now, the rules and regulations are there. It's being monitored. Civil aviation is doing a much better job now. And the accident rates, I think, have come down. Though we still have, the major crashes are still there, but the number has
really gone down.
Gone down.
But there is a fear in the normal Nepalese public that the rate of accidents is only increasing. I mean, we had a YouTuber who is a famous guy. I think the name of the channel is the Nepali Comment. Had a thumbnail where he said, "There's a flying coffin. Our aircrafts are no less than flying coffin or death machines." I think it was put that way. So, how much pressure do you think is put on the aviation community by journalists who tend to report in this sensationalist fashion?
I would say, I would not say there is no truth in that, but that's not the whole picture also. It's not a death machine, but a lot has to be done because the recent crashes, in my opinion, I've been even discussing with civil aviation and all, I have said our crashes, if we study, it's not skill-based errors. Okay, the pilots' skills are very good, fantastic. We have not had any skill-based errors, accidents, though we are flying into such tough terrains, tough airports. Most or almost all the accidents are decision-making errors. We are making wrong decisions. Okay, and so why are we making those wrong decisions? So that is somewhere we have to focus. It's not people do not know how to fly the airplane. They know and they're quite good, capable, good as anyone in the world. But our decision-making process or decision-making is weak. Now, we have to focus on that. When I say we, civil aviation to a certain extent, but more the airline themselves. So, if as an airline I am having number of crashes, then I have to start thinking, why am I having so many crashes? There must be something wrong. Example, we have had about recently 1.5 months 3 helicopter accidents. Okay, so just because it did not happen to my airline, that means I should be happy? I don't think so. Because even if it happened to someone else, what have I done that it will not happen to me? I have to think that way.
Yeah, 3 helicopters in 3 months means an average of 1 helicopter crash.
It's not even 3 months, it's 1.5 months or something.
So that's about 2 by an accident every 2.
That's nonsense. So something, and is it that the pilots did not have skills? Maybe, maybe not. But they definitely made a wrong decision.
Yeah, they did. Similar statistics can be put up with the MiG-21 that the Indian Air Force operates. We had a crash of a MiG-21 about 2 days ago in Rajasthan. I think it was in the Hanumangarh district. Something similar happened about 2 months ago. And if you pull back the statistics from 1963, almost 200 pilots have lost their lives. So the onus is then upon the Indian Air Force to correct the mistakes.
Yeah.
In the same way, if we're having so many crashes with our helicopters, I think it's within the remits. Well, the onus definitely falls upon CAN or other government bodies.
Yeah, to a certain extent, government bodies like CAN. But more than CAN, it is the operators.
The operators themselves.
What are they doing? How are they monitoring? Like, if we are not, my decision makings are wrong, then what am I doing? How am I correcting that? What are my pilots doing? What are my technical people doing? Support system. Is my training proper? Am I doing sufficient training? All those things, the organization themselves, they have to start reviewing it, try to find the root cause. Normally, we do not go to deep enough to find the root cause. Like in SMS, safety management system, we talk about is any accident doesn't happen due to one person's mistake or one place. It may start right from the organization. And the organization maybe, or every accident, some portion is blamed, some portion of the blame should be taken by CAN, some portion, most of the portion from the organization. Because of the organization, there may be so many things that may be lacking or not monitoring or lot of things. So the organization should be thinking, where did we go wrong? It is not the captain who made the mistake only. Finally, he could have, yes. But what made him go to that extent that when the pilot could have corrected, he also failed. There are a lot of failures from other portions or other people in the loop. And finally, it came to the captain. He could have saved that accident. And he also failed. He is one of the person who failed.
One of the many
people. Among the many people, he is one of the person.
Comes the focal point.
And everything we blame only to the pilot. Yes, we blame because he could have saved it. After failure of 10 people, he could have finally saved it.
We had a pilot, I forgot his name, but he comes quite regularly here, and he said, look, it's so easy to blame things on the pilot. He's dead. He's not going to come up and defend himself. And perhaps his family or his relatives are too bereaved to come up and justify his position. So yeah, it's so easy for the government to say, look, the pilot, every time a crash takes place, you just blame it on the pilot. Sometimes you say it's the age of the pilot, sometimes you say it's the inexperience of the pilots, but it's only the pilots who get a lot of blame, and we don't see airlines themselves being penalized too much. Do you think that that's a fair assessment in some way?
Yes, I would say pilot, yes. Pilot is to be blamed, yes. There's no two way about it. But why did the pilot make the mistake? We do not go deep into it. Why did he is not suicidal. So he did not make that mistake knowingly or wantingly. So what happened that he was put in a situation that he also made that mistake. Was his training was not enough? Was it stressed out? There are various other things. Recent crashes, let's just take the crash about the Tarai. Not ATR, because ATR is
The
before
one before.
in Jomsom.
Thompson.
Okay. So why did he not turn back? If he encountered clouds, so he should have, first thing he should do is turn back. Why did it not turn back? What meant it? So that thing we have to ask why he did not turn back. For he crashed, he did not turn back. We crashed and all. We know that. But why did he not turn back? What was the organization culture in that airline?
Sometimes it's said that pilots can be quite egotistic as well, in that they tend to think, look, this guy has landed, I can do it, I can better him.
Yes, correct. So how do we correct that? That is one of the attitudes we have. Like even all human beings, we have certain attitudes. Like we have that machoism. Yes, I can do it. So how do we control that? How do we monitor that? Who is supposed to? CAN is supposed to do that? No. CAN cannot go to each airlines and start monitoring each and every pilot or any other person.
You just can lay out the basics.
Basics. That is, CAN has given the basic minimum. So how we use that is the airline. The airlines are not bothered. I would not say bothered. That would not be the correct word. I would say airlines are not doing enough to monitor, to ensure that, okay, there have been, I'll tell you, 10, maybe 15 years back, 20 years back, we have had in the pilot community, you can ask any of the elder pilots. In the pilot community, we used to say, this number A, B, C pilot names we knew who are going to crash.
Aha, okay, interesting.
Okay, we could name them, and they did. And they actually did crash. So what did that show? That showed that we, in the community we knew, in the airlines we knew, they were doing stupid things. But no one tried to control that. No one tried to stop them. They would have been alive.
Yeah, I mean, I met an engineer. I wouldn't want to disclose his name, but he told me this one phrase, "Pere Danans."
No, exactly. Yes, people know about it, but we do not know because of our maybe Nepalese culture. That he is a senior person. We do not want to talk ill about him.
Got a lot of subservience.
Yes. So because of that, we keep quiet. And once he gets killed, we all say, we knew. If we knew, why did we not stop him? There's no mechanism to stop them. And the stopping part should have been done by the organization, the airline. Right now, the airlines are doing that, I would say. That's the good part. Benefit is, to a lot of extent, not 100%, but to a lot of extent, airlines themselves are saying, okay, let's stop accidents. Don't push your luck. And don't do stupid things, foolish things. If you think you cannot make it, just come back. Few diversions is not going to sink the airline. The CEOs of the airline are telling this to all the pilots, to all the staff. Let's not push luck. Because an accident is really harming the airline.
And it's not only the Nepalese airlines which suffer from incidents. I mean, we had a recent engine failure or engine catching fire fly by about a week or so ago, and that showed that not just because it's a foreign airlines does not mean that it is immune from such incidents. So, how does a pilot really run the show, say, after if an engine catches fire? How do you calm the nerves down of the people that are inside the
First thing, the fly Dubai incident, recent one, the engine did not catch fire.
okay?
Okay. Uh, it was called, most probably it is compressor stall, engine surges. It can happen due to various things. Okay. So when that happens, it is quite dramatic. Lot of what you can see, a stream of fire coming out of the engine. That's all. It's dramatic. That is true. Yeah. And in the cockpit, the pilots will see that they will not see the flame coming out of the engine, but the instruments will show them what is happening. The engines are not working properly, so they are trained for such circumstances, and they do whatever the manuals say they need to do. The SOP or the checklist, they do it, and they followed the checklist. After some time, the engine was working okay, and they continued with full power. The engine was behaving okay, and they continued. Okay, they followed the checklist. Now, what happens is with people who do not have this aviation knowledge, like maybe the reporters, the media, and the passengers, for them it's a traumatic experience. Oh, engine is fired. Now I'll die. Now the aircraft will crash. Aircraft is not going to crash so easily. Modern day aircraft can't crash. Even if the engine is on fire, they can douse the fire, and then they will land at a suitable near airport and have the save all the passengers and the aircraft. Just because the engine failed doesn't mean the aircraft will crash. It will not crash.
Even if both of the engines fail, there are mechanisms of how you can land it safely.
Yes, but both engine fails it may not be very. You have to be lucky to find an airport where you can land, but damage will be done. Yeah, but you can do it. Aircraft does not fall like a rock. If even if both the engines even if all the four engines failed in a four-engine aircraft is designed not because of the wings. Aircraft will not fall like a rock. So it still glides. So once you start gliding, you can try to find out a good place where we can land and hopefully save all the people on board. But people think, oh, the passengers inside will be panicked and all. Yes, they would be panicked. There's no doubt about it. But I'm sure the captain would have announced that all he could to calm the passengers and tell them nothing is wrong. Yeah, it was just a incident which occurred for a few seconds, and it's now the engine is working okay. No, you don't need to panic or engine is not working. It's nothing of the sort.
So you also make an announcement.
Yeah, of course, because anything that goes wrong, we make an announcement to the passenger saying, okay, even if an engine fails, we say engine has failed, but there is no need to panic. We are going to divert or go and land here and all, whatever.
Things are under control.
Yeah, under control. We have to, because the passengers need to know what is happening. They cannot be kept in suspense.
Okay. And what when an incident like that of free airlines happens? For example, the landing gear doesn't really bend according to your will.
In a aircraft, it's a technical machine, technical. So things can fail. When it fails, we have no idea. If we knew, then it would not be failing.
The engineers do all they can to make sure that something like that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but still it can. Like, for example, I asked a doctor once, tell me a test where you can guarantee that my heart is in a good condition. And he told me, you can do all the tests in the world. And you pass everything. Beautiful. Nothing is wrong with you. Can I have a heart attack? He says, yes, you can have. You cannot guarantee any of those things. You do whatever you want. Because there are so many variables that one cannot count for everything and say, no, yes, now you are 100%. There is nothing of the sort. Same way with even any mechanical things, especially like an aircraft. There are so many mechanical things, so many linkages that is working, that something can fail anytime. But there are ways of saying, okay, if this fails, this is what needs to be done. There are procedures made. So, and I've seen some media people, especially now, when there is YouTube, when there is social media and all, small things, they blow it out of proportion and say, oh, oh, thank God we are safe. Aircraft comes, they hit turbulence, they divert to someone else. Oh, they diverted. We were lucky to survive. There's no luck involved in that. The captain diverted because of certain issues, procedures. Airfield is closed due to rain or whatever. They are approaching. They may make a go around and go to some other airfield. Oh, that's a big news. So, I think the people and the public also should understand. We should not follow or run behind such sensationalized news. They are just creating sensation. That is not a news at all. Aircraft can come, toss down, something goes wrong, they go around. That is normal. That is what we are taught, we are trained to do. Things for you don't feel something comfortable, go around, make another approach. So if you cannot make approach, then go and land somewhere else. We have to land safely. That is our priority. Not land at once I fly from Kathmandu and I'm going to Biratnagar, my priority is not to land at Biratnagar. My priority is land safely. If I can land safely at Biratnagar, yes, I'll land there. If I cannot land safely at Biratnagar, I'll go and land anywhere I want, which is safe. That is the priority. Not landing at Biratnagar or destination is not the priority.
Not every diversion needs to be covered by journal.
No. Very technical. Lot of something that goes wrong. People recently, Buddha Air had they took off. One of the instruments failed. They came and landed. Okay, he made a good decision. So why should we blame the pilot? Why did you do this? Then what should he do? He should go and land at the destination. These are the things now people are very. We are creating an unsafe. Actually, we are trying to create an unsafe environment
where everybody's scared all of it.
All the time. Not only the passengers, now the pilots also. Now, if I do the right thing, the media may report something else. Then the civil aviation will come and call me for questioning, ground me, all sorts of things. So I will keep quiet and do unsafe things. What happens if pilots start doing that way? They take that channel. So this is not good for safety of the flight. So media people also should understand that. It's not good sensationalizing some trivial matters.
Okay, that's so brilliantly said. One of the other things that really plays upon the safety is, and this aspect is not particularly covered in a lot of media, is of pilots sometimes taking photographs or videos when they're flying. We've seen people post it that way as well. I think it is quite unethical to do so from a safety perspective.
Civil Aviation Nepal has forbidden us from doing such things. Okay, now it's a regulated thing. Now, if the civil aviation says don't do it, once the regulation comes, we have to abide by it. We cannot say, why can't we? It is safe. It is not. We can argue about it, but those arguments should come before the regulation comes in. Once the civil aviation regulation is there, we just need to follow. Whether it is safe or not is a different issue. Different people may have different views about it. when it is safe, when it is not safe, that is also there. Like it is definitely not safe during takeoff, landing, initial climb, descent, approach, because we are busy in that. But when you are cruising, suppose you have a 5 hours flight, you are cruising for more than 4 hours or 3.5 hours. So taking pictures, is it unsafe? Does it really matter? I think it does not. But the regulation says don't take. Finished. So then I should not take. Because long flights, we are even allowed to take naps, one pilot at a time. So one of the pilot can take a nap. So when both pilots are alert, we cannot take a picture of the moon or something, a cloud. We see some. Is that unsafe? Maybe not. But now the other part is, once what we give an inch, you take a yard. So we say, okay, during this you can take. Then we start saying, during this I was here, I was there, and we start to take unnecessary advantage of that. If you just bend the regulation, so if we are especially Amigata, what we need is we need a stick to say do this or don't do this. So maybe because of that, civilization has come out with the rule saying no, don't take photographs. Sit there. Then there is no other option, or maybes. Or why can't I do this? What ifs? All those are
Later race.
self.
Talking about giving an inch and taking a mile, I think that it was really evident in a flight of the Hero Float when a captain once allowed his children to take.
Yeah. Yes.
It was such a frightening thing to read about.
Yeah, that is true. No, you gave an inch. Now you put your son on the seat,
And the plane crashes.
things go so drastically wrong. So all these things, that's why regular from some viewpoint we can always argue saying actually it is unsafe. Why it is unsafe? I just brought my family on the flight day. There is enough place, and they go back, and that also when I'm cruising. Yes, at that time it is not really unsafe, but now once giving an inch, now I say I can do this, I can do that, and we have no regulations. So best don't allow anyone to in the cockpit. Finish.
I think the regulations have definitely gotten better. I read about the first American who flew to space. I think his name was Ed Once. And something similar happened to him as well. When he was about 4 or 5 years of age, his father, who was a pilot of the American Air Force, allowed him to take control. And he felt this was the most natural thing in the world. If we had an incident like that in today's world, I think that he would have been behind bars.
Yes.
So it's not only in our country, but throughout the world, the regulations have gotten better.
Yes. Then most of the other countries, especially Western countries, they put behind bars if an accident occurs and gross negligence is proven. People can go to behind bars. CEOs, if the captain survives, captain. You cannot take other people's life lightly. We have to understand that we are taking paid passengers. It's not my holiday, my friends that I'm taking around. Passengers have paid, and they have all the right to expect to take off and land safely. And there are enough regulations, enough things to ensure that it is done. So if I start neglecting all those regulations, knowingly, grossly, shouldn't I be put behind bars? Yes, I should. We should be. Anyone who is involved.
Irrespective of whether he is or is the
CEO of the company. People, even DGCS, DG have been put behind bars outside in a few of the cases. So these things we should take quite seriously. That negligence, gross negligence, should not be allowed.
Talking about geez, I think when one of my friends wrote an article about fuel contamination in the Nepalese airline sector, DG called and he said, "What are you writing?" Do you really think that there is truth behind this statement that the air fuel that we get in our country is contaminated?
To tell you frankly, I do not know. Okay, why I do not know is we are not allowed to really inspect. The rules say that we should actually check NOC is giving us fuel. Right now, the rules say that NOC also should have their SMS system, safety management system. Anything that is related to aircraft needs to have safety management system. Okay, and if they don't have, then the airlines safety SMS department should go and evaluate, audit that company to ensure that we are safe, they are safe. Now, I do not know, so I cannot just say this is happening or not happening. I think our NOC, especially for the aviation fuel, they do not have SMS system, and they do not allow us to audit them. So, in that context, so I do not know what the situation is. We do, but saying that it's not that NOC does nothing. They do some fuel checks. They have that fuel tanks checks every so many months or year, which is written. And they, if we ask before refueling, if we ask to sample the fuel for water content or water contamination, they do it in front of us. So that minimum is there. Now there are other various contaminants. If they are really checking for that regularly or not, I have no idea.
Since it's been 1 year that you've retired,
Not 1 year. I retired in November in this year, last year.
5 months,
Right.
the maximum. And I think that this might be a very good time for people like you because we have the news that there are about 2 flying schools that might be set up in our country over the next years. Do you think that our country is prepared for flying schools?
Yes, in the sense, the way people are going abroad for flying, maybe they have enough students per year
To keep the organization.
to organization. And if we like could keep the standards of the flying school, we could get students from maybe India. The India, for example, India has flying schools, but one of the thing is they take a long time. Some of the flying schools, at least previous state was that you go and they say we'll give you 1.5 years, but it might elongate for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, for various reasons. It's not that the cost they would ask more cost, but it would take time for various reasons. Now I hear it is much better. We could also get students from near about Bangladesh and all those places, because the other places we can go is people go is South Africa, Philippines, and US. What we have to ensure is the quality of the training is good at international flying school standards, and the license we provide is acceptable by, for example, FAA or EASA, then yes, it would be a great achievement.
Okay. And you said that in India it might take 3 or 4 years. And one of the things when we were talking to our respected personnel from one of the reputed airlines in our company was that he felt that there was a need for pilots to take some other courses as well, maybe management, maybe complete their bachelor's, because once you're at the age of 16 or 18, you can go to fly schools and get it done. And sometimes you're just too young without a lot of maturity. So do you think that something like that would help the pilots in general?
That is true. But the thing is, again, see, civil aviation regulations will cater for the minimum. As an airline owner, my standard should be higher than that. So when I hire a co-pilot or pilot, it is my company regulations. We should say, I need a bachelor, I need this quality, not only a pilot license, with a pilot license with some bachelor degree or some management course or this or that. That is the airline we should decide. For example, in most of the other Western countries, they will not hire a pilot who has just done. You can get a pilot in FAA. You don't need to even go to school. As long as you know how to read and write English, you can get a pilot license. Okay. Now, as an airline, just because he has a license, as an airline, it's up to me to hire him or not to hire. So we cannot put all regulations and everything for on the head of civil aviation. Civil aviation should not, like I said, you in US, you don't need any type of one class pass money. You don't need. Okay, here in Nepal we have said +2 with maths and physics. Why do we need that? It's the airline who should say maths and physics or whatever.
Depending upon what the airlines look.
They're looking for. It is the airline's job to ensure that you get the best people. Yeah, we are trying to, as an airline owner, I am trying to put all the onus to the civil aviation, which should not be there, in my opinion, at least.
So we had Senior Captain Kumar Pandey last time around, and he said that he was done flying now, and that he's looking forward to traveling around the world. So now that you've hung up your boots, as it were, what are your plans?
I'm still working in Summit A. I'm looking after their safety department. I'm looking after airline safety, and also their sister company, helicopter, Vistay. So I'm looking safety. So I'm quite busy doing that, and it's safety being a recent, though it has been there for more than 10 years, but I'm still learning. So I'm quite enjoying working there and learning and trying to keep up
with the recent
practices and really understand what is safety and how we can how safety improves, actually helps improve the airlines. So, and to ensure that safety is assured.
There's a wonderful book I read about 3 or 4 months ago. It was called The Ikigai. And it was about a particular place in Japan. I think it was Okinawa. And in that area, you've got a lot of centenarians, people who live beyond the age of 100. And they said, one of the keys to long life is not to retire.
Yes.
Once you retire, then you get older quicker and quicker. And it gives hope to people like me that a person as senior as you is keeping up with the younger generation. So we wish you all the luck for the days to come. It was wonderful having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.